welcome to Tracy's Kitchen. Today I am going to be talking a little bit about my strategies for meal planning. I feel like this is kind of the core to how to keep on track when it comes to having good eating habits. People who kind of just fly by the seat of their pants end up flying into things that are not great choices. So we want to take a proactive stance when it comes to meal planning. We want to make sure that we're going to have something on hand that's great quality so that we don't end up falling into the fast food trap. Everybody's hungry, it's late at night and there's nothing available. Those kind of situations we're going to avoid with the meal planning. So some of my steps to meal planning might be a little bit different from things you've heard in the past, or what is more a traditional approach. What I like to do is I like to start out my meal planning session with my calendar. I like to look at where am I going to be at this week? What kind of things am I going to be doing on specific days? Because in the past, I just picked out a whole bunch of dinners and was like, oh, this sounds good. This looks good. I like the sound of this. And then I find myself at a basketball game. I find myself, oh, this is a day we're at co-op with our kids, or this is a day when we're running around and I don't have time to fix something, or I wished I had thought of this earlier and put something in the crock pot because we're home at mealtime, but nobody feels like cooking. So really start with your calendar. Look at where you're going to be at, what you're going to be doing each day of the week, and see if that day requires a special type of meal. Like, is it going to be, you have 30 minutes to cook, maybe you've got 45, maybe you don't have time to cook that day, you need to throw something in the crock pot before you leave. Is there you need something that you can just throw in to the oven or the air fryer and warm up for dinner? Do you have need to have a meal out because there's no way you're going to be anywhere near your house? What is it that you're doing that day? That's step number one. So once you have your calendar for the week in front of you and you can see how much time and efforts you're going to be able to put into a meal on any given day, then what you need to do second is take stock of what you already have. I also call this clean out the fridge. So you got to go over and look at, all the things that are going to go bad soon that you have left over from last week. Because inevitably life gets in our way and we don't end up using all the things we had the good intention of using last week. And so those things really need to be put up at the top of our list to be used for the week to come. Now, once you have stock of what you have, you can also, see what leftovers you have. This is part of cleaning out the fridge for me. And I will either on the meal planning day or shortly thereafter plan what I call a leftovers mélanger, which just means a collection of things. And my kids know that means probably we're going to sit down to a meal where mom warmed up 4 or 5 little bits of different things that were left over during the week, and everybody's going to get something different. So it's kind of just luck of the draw that day. Or I will, if I'm doing advanced planning, will actually plan those into things. Now, the third thing that we're going to do is we're going to have kind of a template in our mind of the way that we like to serve meals. Okay, so for at our house, what we like to do is we like to have, a nice warm dinner. Breakfast is kind of a you do it yourself, you're on your own kind of a thing. We've talked about that before in other podcasts. We call it the standard breakfast, where you go in, cut up a bunch of fruit, and add something to it. That's our standard breakfast meal. And then we have, on weekends, we like to do fancy breakfasts, which are kind of a bigger meal. And lunches are kind of a do on your own too. In fact, most weeks, I like to prepare a big meal in the morning and a big meal in the late afternoon and call it good with 2 meals. And kids that are hungrier than that can, fix themselves a little snack. So it's kind of a 2 meal a day plan. But lunches, pick something that works well for your family. Things that are going, if you're a solid 3 meal a day family, pick something, a template that you can look at in your mind that says we're going to have meals at these times with these components. And Usually with breakfasts and lunches, they can kind of be on a rotation. People don't get as tired of breakfasts and lunches as fast. So I kind of have like, I know what I need for breakfast all the time. If I have on hand a bunch of different kinds of fruit, if I have some almond milk and some granola and some Ezekiel bread for toast, and I have some eggs, that's kind of the building blocks and components of all the different kinds of breakfasts I'm going to make. Everything else can come out of my pantry or my storage. So if I have those fresh things on hand, we can make pretty much any breakfast that we want. Lunches can be warmed up leftovers from what we had for dinner, and if there's a need for a special kind of a lunch, like if we need a packed lunch to go somewhere, like my kids are going to co-op or they have some kind of a field trip or outing and they need a packed lunch, I go ahead and add that to the grocery list for the week as one of the recipes that I'm doing. And then we're ready to pick out dinners. Okay. So make sure you're picking dinners that fit what the activity of the day is. So if I know that I'm going to be out of the house all day, I'm going to pick a crock pot meal that I can load into my crock pot before I leave so that I can come home to something simmering and smelling good instead of feeling like, oh, I think I would like to just stop for something because everybody's tired and I don't want to fix food. Okay, those kind of meals are an important lifesaver for moms who want to stay healthy. Okay, and then other meals, like, oh, well, that's going to be my laundry day. I'm going to be kind of hanging around. I could watch something that was, taking a long time on the stove or in the oven that day. Just kind of pick out your days and pick out recipes that go along with those things. Now, I do something that other people may not do, and that is I go and I pick intentional websites that cook the kind of food that I want to have, and I subscribe to those websites so that my inbox is full of recipe ideas. So I can just kind of peruse through that and be like, ooh, this broccoli soup looks really good. Ooh, this roast looks really good. Oh, this would fit really well on a day when we need something fast. I specifically subscribe to websites that have things for the Instant Pot and the crock pot so that I can have meals for those types of days. So when I'm getting ready to put together the recipes that I have, I always like to include something new. So I have those kind of things hanging around in my inbox. I do occasionally go to the library, check out books. This week I got a book on Instant Pot cooking and one on bowls and one on packed lunches, like cute ideas for packing lunches. And those are kind of fun to look at, to go through and glean ideas from. If I really like them, I'll sometimes snap a picture of them. And then what I like to do is I like to take recipes that I'm trying, and I like to take recipes that I know that my family likes already. So the recipes I'm going to pick for any given week come from one of those two categories. If you're just starting out, you may not have anything like that. But if you've been at this for a little while, you have some tried and true go-to recipes that you know your family loves to have for dinner. So what you do is you take and plug in several of those, and especially if you're changing eating habits, alongside something you know your family already loves, try to incorporate one of those new, healthier selections that you're working on trying to incorporate more of. I like to take all of the recipes that I've used that I know work well for our family, and I like to put them into Google Docs. The reason I use Google Docs is because it then becomes searchable. All of the text that I've put into that recipe becomes searchable. I can also do screenshots and images. I can just take a screenshot of what a recipe looks like online and a screenshot of the ingredients, a screenshot of the recipe cooking instructions, and then just load those three things, boom, 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 into a Google Doc and put a title on it. And then that recipe becomes searchable in my Google Docs, and I don't have to have any kind of fancy recipe app. I don't have to have any kind of planning thing. I can just say, these recipes work well for our family. As you go and you continue to put those into your Google Docs, then you can have that database that kind of grows itself of things that you can draw on that are your tried and true recipes. And then add the ones that you're going to try out that are new recipes to the regular rotation. So you have this great, solid, regular rotation of recipes that you know are going to work, and then you add to it so that you can have some variety and also start to shift your eating habits in a more favorable direction. We all have to always shift. Life is like an escalator. If you're not constantly moving upward, it's going to drag you back down. So make sure you're constantly looking for ways to improve so that you can keep on top of that. All right. So once I have all my recipes picked out for the week, then what I'm going to do is look at them, pull all the ingredients off that I don't have, make a grocery list, and head to the store. If my fridge is nice and cleaned out, then I'll have a nice place to put them when I get home. And then what I do is I have what I call, when I get home from the grocery store, I have what I call the shop and chop. It's where you just take and put away all your food, but if you have something that will be easier, make it more streamlined, make it faster and more convenient for you to chop it up and put it in a container or a Ziploc bag first, do it that day. Creating your own convenience food is like giving yourself a blessing in the future. It's like, here's a gift to me from me. I once watched an Instagram video about where a man told us, be your own butler, be your own maid, be the person that you wish, the servant you wish you had for yourself in the future. Chop up all those tomatoes, put them in a container, and then when it's taco night, you can just pull the container out, take the lid off, and oh, past me has done me a huge favor. So the shop and chop is huge for getting things done in a way that just makes it easier for you as you go to create healthy food for your family. I mean, fatigue is real, and it comes at the end of the day when it's time to fix that dinner, and the temptation to go out and get something can be huge. So knowing, first of all, what it is you're going to cook, second of all, knowing you have all the ingredients already sitting in your fridge, and third of all, that some of them are even already prepped and ready to go, saving you money and time, is huge. It's going to be way huge. So do yourself a favor, be your future butler. All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. Meal planning is one of the big keys for being able to get on and stay on a healthy eating plan. Be happy to share with you more hints and tips in the future. Thanks for joining me here on Tracy's Kitchen.